take a moment to remember all of those who have given their lives for our country in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and other places abroad, and remember them with our prayers. Thank you. Bill Doherty is late today. He's coming in from Atlanta, so he may be here by 12:30. So we will start the meeting and proceed until he gets here. And I guess since we have nothing on our agenda immediately at 12 o'clock, we'll begin with public comment. So if anyone would like to speak, please raise your hand.
I'm Eric Bibler from Save Our Seashore, for the record. As the commissioners know, I provided you with a letter last week that outlined some specific concerns having to do with two topics, related topics really. I'm not going to reiterate every aspect of them, but those two topics are, first of all, the action by the Cape and Vineyard Electric Cooperative to seek an exemption to the bylaws of the town of Brewster for a permit for their project, which was denied by the Brewster Planning Board. That's one action that we're very concerned about. And the other action, the other topic that is cause for concern is the relationship between the Cape Light Compact and the Cape and Vineyard Electric Cooperative. It's a little difficult to understand exactly what's going on there, but from the public record and from comments that have been made by Mr. Doherty, it appears that at least $1,337,000 have been transferred outright from the Cape Light Compact to the Cape and Vineyard Electric Cooperative. I don't think I'll go into every detail there, but one of the reasons that's of considerable concern is that the charters of those two organizations are not identical. CLC, the compact, is a consumer advocate. Their job for their 200,000 members is to obtain affordable electricity at the best possible rates. That's their primary function. They act effectively as a consumers union in that respect. Additionally, if you read their mission statement, they have other things they want to encourage. One of them is energy conservation, and they also commit to offering a renewable energy alternative to their customers. I think, but I'm not sure because it was never discussed in any of the minutes that I recall of either the compact or CVEC, I honestly don't know what justification there is for transferring these assets that essentially belong to the compact members. I think that it was probably justified, even though there seemed to be some considerable misgivings from the minutes in July 2009 when the first $500,000 was transferred. It appears that this may have been justified in a vague way as supporting the general interest for renewable energy for the compact members. And I would like to point out that the Cape Light Compact already offers two green energy options, renewable energy options, to its consumers. One of them is 50% renewables, one of them is 100% renewables. So I don't think that it can be argued that you can't even call it an investment. It was an outright gift. It can't be argued that giving money to CVEC furthers the interest of the compact members, and it can't be argued that it was necessary in order to offer its members a renewable energy alternative. So I think that there's a lot of explaining that needs to be done there. I noticed, I'll just note for the record, that the initial transfer was noted in CVEC's minutes, but only the intention of the treasurer, Mr. Zielinski, to ask for a loan or an outright grant. Thereafter, unless I missed it, the minutes of CVEC are silent about these additional transfers. I find that odd. I think the whole thing bears investigation, and it should also be noted that without this money, CVEC would not have been able to pursue these projects. It should also be noted that I believe the compact by law is precluded from being a developer. So again, it's not an investment, it's not a loan, there's no return on investment that could possibly be realized. It doesn't satisfy any function for the compact members, and I don't see that it serves any function other than to bail out CVEC out of a solvency crisis and provide funds for them to be able to continue to pursue their own projects. Lastly, it should be noted that I mentioned they don't have the same interests. The compact is in business to serve its 200,000 consumers, residences and businesses. CVEC membership is limited to municipalities. There are all the municipalities except for Truro and Wellfleet. Our members, Barnstable County is a member. You have your own representative on both CLC and CVEC. Barnstable County has seats on the executive committee of both organizations. And CLC, in addition, has a seat as a member of the cooperative on CVEC. Again, the minutes are unclear, but at best, if you take Brewster as an example, if that project had been completed, I believe, reading as best I can tell, it's not definite, CVEC, as a member of the cooperative, might have received some fractional interest of any potential benefit. There haven't been any potential benefits for CVEC because they've done nothing but run deficits since their inception. But I don't think that would justify the investment. But I think more to the point, if there were any profits, let's call them that, even though they're a nonprofit, if there were any excess revenues to distribute, all of those revenues from CVEC would flow back to the municipalities. So I don't think, that's the other justification sometimes posed. You cannot raise this equivalency and say, well, everyone's giving fees to the compact off their electric bills, but it's okay because it flows back to the municipalities. I don't think there's a citizen in the room that thinks that giving the money out of their bank account to the town is the same thing as having it. So that's not true. And also there are two towns, at least Wellfleet and Truro, that are not members of CVEC. They're not obligated to be members. They don't want to be members. They certainly cannot derive any benefit from having their money taken away from them and given to CVEC. So that's an area that I think deserves considerable scrutiny. The other, I think, it's hard to say, call it more serious. I think that's a pretty serious matter that I just outlined, is this whole series of steps that have taken place with the support of CVEC in Brewster. As we know, the planning board in Brewster denied CVEC's application for a permit. Now let's be perfectly clear about this. The planning board was reviewing CVEC's permit application under the special permit provisions of the bylaws of Brewster. You have special permit provisions for projects that are deemed so consequential that a town doesn't want you to go down to town hall and pull a building permit as if you're going to add, a room onto your house. It's recognized that these are very consequential installations. That's why they involve the planning board. There's 7 members on the planning board. The Brewster selectmen and CVEC have repeatedly tried to spin this as being inconclusive, and they have criticized the planning board. They have illegitimately claimed to represent the will of the people in Brewster, when in fact the exact opposite is true. The bylaws are written the way they are because it's recognized that this question is very complicated. So the mechanism is that the planning board is nominated to be the agents of all the citizens of Brewster to examine it in depth in a way that you can hardly expect every citizen in town to devote that amount of time. So these 7 people spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of man-hours investigating this. They conducted public hearings. They took expert testimony. They reviewed CVEC's application, which I believe is over 100 pages. They took testimony and expert opinion from all sides, and 3 people, when they finally got to the decision point, 3 of the members were adamant that the project was too risky and that the detriments far outweighed the benefits and was not in the best interest of the community. Acting as the agents under the law of the people, they moved the question. A 4th person had been arguing rather strenuously about exploring various possible alterations to the permit application, which would have been very extreme and might even have caused CVEC not to pursue the project, but he also had voiced serious misgivings. That's 4 out of 7 that had serious misgivings. You know, if you do the math, obviously they don't have 5 affirmative votes in there, and that's why that's known as an effective denial. It's a denial. They did not convince the planning board that it met the provisions of the special bylaw. It's regrettable that in my opinion, that the selectmen attempted to change the bylaw so that they no longer required the input of the planning board. They no longer required the public hearings and the expert testimony and all these other provisions, which were created out of the recognition of how controversial something like that might be and how complicated it might be. They wanted to rewrite the laws to give themselves the authority by fiat to approve the project. They failed. That's 2 swings at the plate. Now we read, as we've already known from the motion that was voted, that was actually proposed by Maggie Downey, who's administrator of the compact. We know that CVEC intends to ask for the intervention of the Department of Public Utilities, which is a state agency that has an appointed board, political appointees, including several members of the administration of the governor, that is not elected. They have no accountability to the voters. They have no accountability to the citizens of Brewster. They have no accountability to Barnstable County. And CVEC now wants to ask this administrative board to essentially exempt the project from the bylaws that the selectmen failed to change, and to approve the project that the Brewster Planning Board spent months and months reviewing and decided was not in the best interest of their own community. Now that's the picture between CVEC, the state, and Brewster. But what is even more troubling, extremely troubling, is that I look around this room and I see people from CVEC, spokespeople, and I know from these hearings that they have testified at every single one of these hearings that went through the Joint Planning and Regulatory Committee at the Cape Cod Commission, before the full commission, as you know, Commissioner Flynn, before the Assembly of Delegates. The Cape Cod Commission has been working for over a year to try, starting with the committee process, to try to come up with a regional framework for regulating industrial wind turbines. It was a very difficult process. I won't review the entire history, but as we know, the initial try for some standards to include in the regional policy plan and a trigger were deemed too lenient by the Assembly of Delegates and lacking specificity, and they were sent back last November. I think it was January 3rd, the Joint Committee at the Commission took this up again in an attempt to respond to the Assembly of Delegates' instructions to please address this as rapidly as possible and come back to them with all due haste with a new set of regulations. Now, CVEC and Cape Light Compact were certainly aware of this process, and they were certainly aware of the comments of the delegates and the commissioners, where one of the overriding concerns, one of the reasons, one of the motivations for wanting to do this was to preserve the local autonomy of Barnstable County. And another reason for wanting to do it was because it was felt that it should be recognized that these installations have a regional impact, that it was appropriate to review them as developments of regional impact. They cross borders. The Dennis project is the perfect example, which is on the border of Harwich and Brewster. This project in Brewster would definitely affect Orleans, residents in Orleans. So those were two overriding considerations. How is it, we ask, how can it be that the Barnstable County, the commissioners are the executive branch of Barnstable County, the Assembly of Delegates are the elected representatives, and you have this Cape Cod Commission, which is almost unique, very few places have it. How can it be that the regional government, the county government, can have worked so hard to put together a regional framework that includes these minimum performance standards, and you have two agencies that were created by the county government that are widely viewed as extensions of the county government, to which you post your own representatives that ultimately report to you because you appoint them and you can recall them at any time. How is it that these representatives do not consult with you, either do not recognize that the actions that they're pursuing are absolutely contrary to all of the goals and objectives and arguably the best interests of the residents of Barnstable County after this entire process? How can it be that they don't consult with you, and how can it be that they take this action, without instead trying to fold this into the regulatory framework? So what I'm here to ask you today is I'm here to ask you to take action to rectify this situation. I believe that you should consult with your representatives, and we believe, I should say, at Save Our Seashore, we believe that you should instruct them to oppose this action. Yeah.
Could you just be specific about the action
that
you're asking?
So I guess I'll move on to this. I have 5 proposed resolutions.
Well,
so
yeah.
He's going to leave but come back.
And you have a 12.
Mark has to leave because,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
And I just want to say, I just want to make a statement about CVEC, and then another statement. The CVEC is actually organized and established under a specific statute of the Massachusetts General Laws, and it operates independently of the county. Now, granted, we have an appointed member to CVEC, and I understand that, and I hear what you're saying. But we don't have any control over CVEC because it is a cooperative established specifically for the purpose of which it's stated in their Articles of Incorporation. By having a member, that doesn't give us control over CVEC.
Absolutely.
Well, on the other hand, the Cape Light Compact is organized differently, and it is an agency of the county. So what I want to say is that last week, some of you were here last week, and I said that we could respond to what you're saying, but we would be giving you opinions and not facts. And we are still, Sheila, Bill, and I as commissioners, we are still planning to respond to you with the facts. We just need a little bit more time. I'd also like to say that the issues between CVEC and Brewster are really something we have no control over. I mean, we can't decide for the town of Brewster, nor can we make decisions for CVEC. Can we have some influence because we are an executive branch? Probably. We probably can, and these are some of the things that we need to explore as county commissioners in responding to this whole issue. So I understand your concerns, and I know where they, from which they originate, and I'm very serious when I say that we are going to respond to you.
Okay.
And I don't have a date yet because we need to meet with our own counsel who advises us, but we will, and it won't take long because it can't take long.
Right.
So that's really what I want to say. And I always thank you for coming because these are issues that are very important. The other thing that we have to understand too is the towns are so independent, and they can go forward on their own without any control by the county. We talk about a regional government, but we still know and understand that towns can act independently. But our goal as we move forward in making this a more relative and solid regional government is to try to blur some of those lines so that we can hopefully get the cooperation of towns to work with us in a regional way. We won't be able to eliminate the lines of the independence of towns, but we hope certainly as we become more organized and have more specific goals and objectives that we can actually articulate with the towns, that we can blur some of those lines. And this is one area, I think, in where that should happen. So, and you want to say something, and then we need to move on. But we have your letter.
We still have time for public, if there's any other comment. And Pat is right, and we did not that did not fall on deaf ears last week, nor is what you're stating here today. And it is clear that there is confusion as to where authorities lie and independence is sovereign there. And I think the more we looked into it, we realized that there are questions to be answered. We need those questions answered. We need to have a clear understanding of our relationship with the Cape Light Compact and CVEC, with our representatives on those boards. The CLC has done a very good job in the past, so you just kind of, these people, you put your trust in those who are your representatives. So I think it is time for us to pull back, get a clear understanding of what is going on, to be able to articulate that. And all I can assure you that once we have all of this straight, the transparency will increase so that everybody else, not only will we have a better understanding, but hopefully that will be evident and transparent for all of you, so that if you look on the website, you can have those questions answered right away. Or there's people even like ourselves in conversation. If you run into us, we can have a better. We will be more educated onto it, and that's our, in a sense, our delinquency here. So I will admit that, but we are going to address these issues. We're addressing our representatives, and we will come back to you.
If I may give these to you.
Yes,
that would be helpful. Thank you.
I won't read them because I know that there are a lot of people want to comment here, but I do just want to say one thing. I appreciate your comments. I agree with 99% of what you're saying. I just want to make one distinction. I think it may have been appropriate for the county commissioners to stand off while the Brewster selectmen, to take an example, pursued whatever course of action they chose to pursue. If they want to put an article on the warrant, they have every right to do that. But I think the point here is that we have a situation where a reasonable person could say that it appears that the actions and the goals and the stated intentions of the CVEC are contrary to what might be, what is the direction that the Barnstable County government wants to go. And so certainly that has to be reconciled. It doesn't make any sense for your representative to be putting forth the motion to head 180 degrees in the opposite direction of where the county government has just so loudly proclaimed they want to go, in my opinion. So I believe that your representative serves you. I believe that your representative is powerful and influential, your representative has the privilege of having membership on the executive committee. And at the very least, what these propose is we would like you to record one way or the other your support or opposition for that course of action, and we would like you to instruct your representatives to reflect your position and make every effort to further the position that you think is best for Barnstable County. Now, I think that's reasonable. We're not trying to say to you that you can dictate to them, these organizations. I know that they have members, and they have boards and that sort of thing. So that is the point, and we really want, in my view, I would like to see you propose each one of these motions and vote them whichever way you think is appropriate, but I would like you to grapple with them. That's what I'm trying to say.
We promise that we will do that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not going to be done today, but we promise that we will grapple with them.
Thank you.
Could you hold your comments just a bit so that we could have...
We'll come back to public comment.
We come back to public comment because we normally don't have that long a public comment period. But we do have on our agenda Americorps, and we don't want them here for too long. So I'd like to ask Rebecca to come forward and with your Americorps volunteers.
Do you all want to go up? Okay, or not.
All right. You're going to be on camera if you stand back there. Okay, Rebecca Wolfson from Americorps.
Yes. Great. Yeah, hi.
Great to have you.
Thank you very much. And I'm here with a crew of Americorps members. They've been diligently planning our 4th annual Americorps Week of Service project. That's a partnership with the town of Orleans this year. And we want to tell you a little bit more about it and invite you and the community to participate. And Eric's going to give you the information.
Good. Okay. Hi, Eric.
Good afternoon. Hi, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. So I'm Eric Bors, my second year with Americorps Cape Cod, and also my second year living in the Wellfleet House and serving with the Town of Orleans Tree Department and Tree Warden Daniel Connolly. And this year, my forest restoration project, which I started last year, was selected as the site of Americorps Week 2011, which will be May 9th through the 13th. And we got grants, and it'll be funded by grants from both Massachusetts Service Alliance, NSTAR, as well as matching funds from Barnstable County. And during the week, we will be removing invasive plants from this town conservation property at Uncle Harvey's Town Landing. And we'll be planting native plants and working with both volunteers and local school groups. And I would like to extend an invitation for both the entire week, May 9th through the 13th. Specifically for May 9th, we have a Arbor Day tree planting celebration at 8:30 a.m. at Orleans Elementary School. And as well as May 13th, we have a celebration luncheon to cap off the week, and that will be at 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
and that will also be at the school?
That will be actually, we have information on a postcard with the site and whatnot.
Great.
Yeah. And as you know, Americorps Week is to celebrate national service and the service that our Americorps program is doing in this community. And we celebrate service by doing service. And any way that you can participate and that anyone wants to participate is great.
Make sure we're there at least on the 9th for your tree planting. And I know they'll
What day of the week is May 9th?
It's next Monday.
Next Monday?
Yeah, so the whole student body of Orleans Elementary is going to be out there.
Oh, that's going to be tough, yeah, because we're someplace else, but maybe we can get there early in the morning and get to our other conference.
Actually, the conference doesn't start till noon.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
well, then we will be there, so that works out
Great.
perfect.
We have these for you.
Good.
I went by Putnam Avenue the other day and I saw the Americorps sign leading into, there was cars parked and you had, so that probably didn't get towed away. And it looks like you were doing a whole day's work there. Every time I went by, it was, we were still busy out there in the woods. So I know you're out there doing what it is you're supposed to be doing.
So tell me again what time this is on Monday?
Monday is 8:30.
8:30.
Orleans Elementary.
Yep, and so that's the ceremonial tree planting. And then students will be planting fruiting trees and blueberry bushes and raspberry bushes for the rest of the day out there with us.
Excellent.
You know how much we appreciate Americorps. I mean, you really have done, what is it, over $10 million now in terms of valuable service to Cape Cod in the years that you've been here. Not just you, but your predecessors as well. But I hope that you find the experiences as valuable as they have, because we truly enjoy meeting you and knowing you and working with you during the time you're here. So I look forward to being there on Monday morning. And joining you.
I think a lot of people don't realize that when you're walking through the woods or you're walking through a restoration area and you have, it looks very beautiful and cleaned up. Sometimes you think that's all just the local Department of Public Works, and you know, I'm not going to take away from them, but many times it's the Americorps volunteers that have gone in to repair those bridges, repair those walkways, and this is all to the benefit of us, and it's something, yes, dunes, beaches, eelgrass, the dune grass being planted. I mean, there's so many different restoration projects that they do here that we would never be able to pay for, and the towns could never afford. So they are a great asset to us, and we even get employees sometimes at the end of if they have fallen in love with Cape Cod and their work. You know, they stick around, which is a good thing. We need all you young people.
Well, and like
here.
Eric, they come back for another year.
Yes, yes. So
So
hopefully,
we're glad you
we'll
came
find a
back.
place to land here. So,
Great.
but you're doing a great job,
Thanks
and
a lot.
we'll make sure that Bill knows about lunch on the 13th, because you know
Great.
he'll be there, and I'm sure we will be too.
Great.
So, all
Thanks
right.
for your support.
Thank you.
Continue the great work, everyone. Okay, so on with the.
Okay, who's next?
Yeah.
All right, we'll start here. Preston.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Preston Rudnick, and I'm from Wellfleet. I just have a few remarks this morning. Eric covered a lot of the material I covered. I was going to cover it. I really appreciate his comments. A quick comment from as you recall, I made a statement to you last Wednesday. At the conclusion of my statement, you informed me that you could not respond to my specific request at that time. As you indicated, you needed more time for research, to research the information I presented and the request I made. And further, you stated that you would respond within 1 or 2 weeks, you thought. Thus, I'm hopeful that today, or hopefully next week at some point very soon, you'll be able to respond to the very specific request that I made. That would be helpful. I think you're a little bashful, with all due respect, in terms of your role in what's happening in Brewster. And let me just explain very, very briefly. And that is, as you know, the funding for CVIC in large part comes from Cape Light Compact. They're the funding source for almost all the monies that they receive so far. And your representatives, and again, I have a much longer statement I will not read, but last week when Mr. Daugherty answered my question, did Ms. Ms. Downey come to the commissioners and ask permission to present this motion, which you've probably seen, but I'll hand it out to you anyway. That's the exact motion, and this is right from the website. This is the only executive minutes that CVIC has ever posted, as far as I'm concerned, you know, from what I've seen publicly since they were founded in 2007. But this was posted from the March 17th meeting. And I asked Mr. Daugherty, did Ms. Downey come before you and ask, you know, direction, permission to take this really radical step? And he answered, and I had the direct quote. I looked at the tape that Steve shot, and the answer was no. That's all he said, if you recall. And then I had my follow-up question, well, where did she get the authority to act like that if it wasn't from you? And he said it came because of her position from Cape Light Compact, serving on the CVIC board. And my contention is that first and foremost, she is a county employee. She's a full-time county employee. She's not a volunteer serving on the CLC board, and she's not a volunteer serving on the CVIC board. She represents the interest of the citizens of Barnstable County and Barnstable County government. So when she acts, she's acting under that. She's not acting as a free agent. And I know a lot of times she's going to do things, and obviously she has to do things, not coming to you, but something so momentous, as Eric said, that takes this project in a complete opposite direction of what everything that's been happening at the Cape Cod Commission Assembly delegates was a shocking development in my mind. And I think, both in terms of directing Mr. Zielinski and Ms. Downey to go back, and what I was going to call for is for asking them to have an emergency meeting of the Civic Board and saying they've been directed in their official capacity as representatives of the county government, they've been directed to go and formally place in motion before the Civic directors a new motion saying that we're not going to go to DPU and try to get an override of what's happened in Brewster. That's what my hope would be, because the funding's coming from the county through CLC, and when you have these two critical point people on the Civic Board Executive Committee and the CLC Board and Executive Committee. So that's what I hope would happen. And time is of the essence. This is, like you said, like you indicated earlier, there's not anything we can delay, and my hope, and I'm going to sit down, but my hope is that with all of the outpouring and all of the angst that's happened in Brewster, that the commissioners, as you said, through your council and so forth, will take the appropriate action and do the right thing, in terms of making sure that this project is terminated. It's already been terminated by the voters, by the planning committee, so that's my hope, and thank you for your time this morning.
All right, thank you. And we did say that we are working on that.
Well,
so.
we'll just go down the line.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, Lily Green from Wellfleet, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I come before you to ask you to take action in reference to the stated direction of CVIC in relation to the Brewster Freeman's Way wind project. If CVIC applies to the DPU for a permit to build turbines, it would fly in the face of democracy as we know it in Barnstable County. Massachusetts was the first state in the Union to write a state constitution. It was drafted by John Adams, and the major thrust was to protect our individual and community rights. In one action, if allowed to move forward, CVIC will erode the very core of our state constitution for the reasons already stated. I implore you to use every avenue available to stop this action. It's a slippery slope if this action is not stopped. The implications of Barnstable County, I fear, are dire. And just to illustrate that, another town in Barnstable County voted not to move forward with the CVIC project in their town meeting this past week. I don't know what the implications of that would be if they move forward with this project with the DPU. And I, again, would ask you to, I'm not going to read everything here, but to move forward with immediate meetings with CVIC and CLC, and to talk and direct your representatives to make motions and second those motions to, with CLC, to rescind the money or to freeze the money that has not been used already for CVIC. You have the purview to do that. And to ask that CVIC stop moving forward with going to the DPU. I also respectfully request that you, as Barnstable County Commissioners and representatives of the towns, the citizens of this fine county, write a letter opposing any further action by CVIC and state in the letter that it is a dead project. The due process we all expect is followed, that we all expect to be followed, it has been followed in our county. The Brewster Planning Board has denied the special permit for the project. The Planning Board served the best interests of the town and the citizens of Brewster. It is the end of the project. The letter can be addressed to the Board of CVIC and copied to all board members of CLC, all Barnstable County town administrators, boards of selectmen, planning boards, and to the Cape Cod Commission. And anything else that you feel is in your purview to stop this moving forward to the DPU, or to stop it if it already has moved forward. And I respectfully ask your guidance and your support, and ask us to help you if there's anything we can do to support those directions as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Mark?
My name is Mark Kuhl, for the record, from Falmouth. My comment today concerns wasteful use of energy ratepayer money. The CVEC soon will petition the State Department of Public Utility Energy Facility Siting Board for review of the Freeman's Way wind turbine project. CVEC's spokesperson Maggie Downey said yesterday to a media outlet that her board of directors recently voted to seek that exemption from the state, but it has yet to officially file the appeal. The charge of this board, the Mass Energy Facility Siting Board. Covers a broad range of energy siting issues, including visual, noise, safety, and land use impacts. The same issues were reviewed by the Brewster Planning Board and the town meeting members. Reading from the CVEC website, the Cape and Vineyard Electric Cooperative works in concert with the ongoing mission of the Cape Light Compact. Advocating for your energy rights is a core mission for the Compact. Compact represents the interests of Cape and Islands, Cape and Vineyard Electric ratepayers through ongoing participation in legislative and regulatory proceedings. This is from their website. The Compact is a county department. The county is the financial agent providing administrative oversight and supervision. This means the Compact is held accountable to ratepayers like myself through the county commissioners to spend my money wisely. The DPU and CVEC legal proceedings is an outrage. As a ratepayer, I demand my money not be squandered in this manner. Where is the Commission's fiscal oversight? Where's the Commission's fiscal supervision? The Freeman's Way project is an energy proposal. The 2008 Green Communities Act and soon to be revisited WESTRA, the Wind Energy Siting Reform Act, are the legal public venting tools made specific for renewable project review. Under these regulations, the DPU does not have the authority to override the denial of a wind energy project, whether the denial is a local community or a regional planning agency. CVEC may persist in this appeal, but after the Brewster Planning Board, the town meeting outcomes, and the recent ratification of wind energy regulation by the Cape Cod Commission, I think Compact support for Freeman's Way projects needs to be removed. The DPU Energy Facility Siting Board does not have this overriding authority under the present process for fossil fuel plants. The Freeman's Way project is not a fossil fuel plant. As a ratepayer, I urge the commissioners to direct the Compact and Ms. Downey, Compact Administrator, to eliminate any monetary support for CVEC's misguided focus on this matter. The reins must be pulled in. If this coalition between the Compact and CVEC on Freeman's Way issue continues, it represents a serious misuse of ratepayer money and my government trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Liz, would you like to?
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hi. I'm here today for
And
Peter
your name for
Johnson.
the record.
Liz Argo, Orleans.
And who are
I'm
you
here-
representing?
I'm representing Brewster Residents for Responsible Wind today.
Okay.
Peter Johnson is the head of that group, and I want to make it very clear to everybody, I am not staffed with Cape and Islands, Cape Light Compact, or Cape and Vineyard Electric Cooperative. I've been a wind researcher and advocate for 8 years in my capacity as somewhat of an expert. They bring me on occasionally to work for them for specific reasons. I have not had any reason to receive any funding from them for several months. But Peter Johnson has a group in Brewster. He's in California, so he asked me to come and speak in favor of Brewster Residents for Responsible Wind. He would want us to note that in the planning board incidents in Brewster, call it what you will, 3 people voted for the project, the special permit, 3 people did not. The one who abstained did so because he was overwhelmed by the amount of material he received on the subject. He even reiterated that issue at Monday night's town meeting, Brewster town meeting. The will of the people of Brewster, let's face it, the count was 725 to 411. So yes, we were 25 votes short of the supermajority that was needed, but it is still a majority of Brewster residents who want the Freeman's Way Industrial Park Wind Project. CVEC does need to send the project on to DPU because the project has been overwhelmed by the kind of information that overwhelmed the planning board member, and as he admitted it did. The state needs to be able to sort through the emotion, the NIMBYism and the misinformation. The state has a mandate for bringing forward responsibly sited wind energy. We need to have some wind energy in this state. We all know the Brewster project is the best municipal wind project the Cape will ever see. It mimics the Hull project in terms of technology and size, where there have been no complaints in the 5 years of that turbine's existence. Justification for the county's agencies finally financially supporting the quest for renewable energy that's been undertaken by Cape Compact and the Cape and Vineyard Electric Cooperative is absolutely what we need to be doing in this county, in this state, and in this country. It's not very supportive of what the mandates of the country and the state are for persons to suggest that the county should not be pursuing well-sited, responsible wind. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. That's you. Yes.
Thank you very much.
And your
Commissioner
name for the
Flynn,
record?
Commissioner Lyons, my name is Herbert Locke. I've lived in Brewster since 1975. And I would like to expand a little bit on part of what Mr. Bibler said and also address something that Ms. Argo just said. I was chairman of the Brewster Board of Appeals for 13 years. I was on it for 19. And I presided over hundreds of hearings for special permits and variances. If someone claimed harm, and we studied everything very carefully, we followed the applicable law, we viewed the neighborhood, listened to often conflicting testimony, and read all the documents. I was at that planning board hearing, and I've watched it several times. I've never heard somebody say they were overwhelmed. I heard them say they had a stack this high and a stack that high, and then they made their decision. I don't think they were overwhelmed. I think they read all the stuff. There were no 3-minute time limits on our hearings at the Board of Appeals, and for contested projects, the hearings would last many nights. Not like a town meeting that lasts for 2 hours. Whichever side spent the most money and time was never a consideration. We've heard our selectmen in Brewster say, and I know you don't want to get into this fight, dispute,
You're right.
that we've spent a lot of, and I am going to
That's okay.
bring it to the matter that Ms. Argo said. One of the arguments was we put so much money into this and so much time, therefore it should be approved. That's their reasoning. But that isn't in the bylaw, and I don't think it's in the state law, and I don't think any of us in here, whether we're pro or con, do want that to be a factor, because if it did, if it was, none of us would, us little guys, would survive a dispute. If the petitioner didn't meet their burden of proof, they were denied. Not granting what they're asking for is a denial, no matter what the vote count. If I ask you for $1,000 and you don't give it to me, I think I could say I was denied. And I think you can apply that to a lot of things. So yeah, I think there's been a lot of spin about it's stalled, it's a tie. They asked for something and it was denied. If approved, we added conditions to eliminate harm to the neighbors from noise, light, odors, and vibrations, all to get it right. If we denied it, there was no need for conditions. And I'm not bragging, but it's just to give you an idea of how much we tried to do it right. None of the cases in those 13 years where I chaired the hearing were overturned on appeal. We didn't have that many appeals, but those that we did have were not overturned. She mentioned the hull, and that's been thrown out quite a bit. My wife found a study, a 2003 study of Hull, and we went up there on our way back from an appointment in Boston. And the study said that community involvement was a key part in the success to the whole project. In 2007, our Brewster 2007 town meeting decided that the elected planning board would be the special permit granting authority for all wind turbines. And when hearing special permits, they are a quasi-judicial body required by law to be impartial and not to bow to pressure from anyone. If they have an interest in the matter, they must recuse themselves by leaving the room. The losing side has a right to appeal to a court, and the judge will hear the case anew. The judge can affirm, overturn, or remand with instructions. If denied at the planning board, the applicant cannot return for 2 years without special permission from the planning board. The appeals court said in a Nantucket case that the reason for this is to, quote, give finality to administrative proceedings and spare affected property owners from having to go repeatedly to the barricades on the same issue, unquote. These people are spending their own money. They're not using tax dollars, and they're just fighting to keep from getting harmed, what they perceive to be harm. In Falmouth, the industrial turbines were erected without a special permit or conditions, just what the Board of Selectmen wanted to do with Article 5. They didn't get what they wanted at the planning board. They didn't appeal it, so they said, okay, let's get Article 5 to make it as a matter of right that we can put it into the town industrial zone. I'm sorry I'm speaking loud with these hearing aids.
You're doing fine.
People with hearing loss
Perfect.
tend to
You're doing fine.
speak too loud.
You're not.
Sorry. In addition to CVEC not meeting its burden of proof, our planning board's denial was supported by denials in neighboring towns. They weren't doing something totally irrational. They had every other neighboring town, for whatever reason, denied their project. And their denial was supported by the Assembly of Delegates decision, and I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with county government, so I don't know if it was Assembly of Delegates or the County Commission or what it was. But they decided that there should be minimum performance standards. This Freeman's Way project is right on the border between Harwich and Orleans and Brewster. There are people in Harwich and Orleans that are closer to it than a lot of people in Brewster. They didn't have any input whatsoever into this. The planning board even admitted that they didn't even send notice to those other towns, if my memory's correct. I don't know what you can do, but please do what you can to stop this thing from going to the Department of Public Utilities, if you can. And I don't even know what the Department of Public Utilities, what their standards are, or how they work. But if you can, through your
I have a feeling we're all going to find out.
resources, yeah, right. If you, through your
One way or
resources,
another.
can find out, it would be greatly appreciated. And
Yes.
thank you very much for
Thank you for your
having
comments.
these.
Thank
And we
you.
have time for one more because we have another agenda item at 1 o'clock. So, can we write to you?
Yes, you can write to us. Yeah.
Yes, you can. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
He was.
My name is Jim Shine. I live at 366 Freeman's Way in Brewster. My family has owned property at that address since 1971. My mother bought the house that I now live in. I've been in Brewster for 23 years. This whole situation has been enormously dispiriting, I think, for myself, many of us in this room, and particularly for the people in the neighborhood where I reside. I've mentioned this at a number of public hearings that all of the tributary roads that run south from Freeman's Way if you're heading from Route 137 east toward Harwich, and the neighborhoods to the north. This is in effect the working class part of town. And I find it almost impossible to believe that on the heels of the greatest economic collapse in this country, starting in September 2008, that our select board and town manager would be pursuing a project that will, without any doubt, bring harm to us. There's been exhaustive research by a man named Michael McCann, who is a property appraisal guru in Chicago, of the impacts of industrial-sized wind turbines on residential properties and homeowners who happen to live nearby. In fact, in Ford County, and I can't remember the name of the other county in Illinois, he didn't study the impacts on, 12 or 14 homes. He studied the impacts on 3,800 some odd number of homes in Illinois. And if you Google McCann report on property value impacts of industrial wind turbines on Freeman's Way in Brewster, he did an entire report that was submitted to our planning board through our attorney. And his research indicates that those of us who live in this part of Brewster would lose 25 to 30% of our property value out to a distance of a radius of 2 miles. So that would also include many residents in South Orleans and East Harwich. I have kept on my desk for many years, under a piece of rose quartz, a couple of quotes. And when the millennium turned on New Year's Day 2000, and all humanity entered the new millennium, Time magazine selected not their man of the year or their man of the decade, but their man of the century. And that man was Albert Einstein. And I tore this quote from Einstein out of a desk calendar many, many years ago. And this is what he has to say. Try not to become a man of success, but a man of value. And I fear terribly that the people who are running the town of Brewster, Mr. Sumner, and I've known Charlie for years, not well, I've always thought very highly of him, and the selectmen, they're men of success. They want to promote their own particular agenda. We do not feel listened to in East Brewster and along Freeman's Way. We went to a meeting at the town library on the Wednesday before Christmas. And that was a CVEC presentation, and Mr. Levasseur, one of our members of our select board, was present. Mr. Sumner and Mr. Lewis were conveniently out of town. And we entered the room, and we found on every chair a file card, this big with a little pencil. And someone from the audience raised their hand and said, "What are these file cards for?" And Mr. Levasseur explained that if we had any questions at all, we could write our questions on the file card, sign our name and print our name, and then hand it in, and then those questions would in turn be considered and responded to by Mr. Levasseur. This sent really quite a murmur throughout the room. We're paying our taxes, and we can't even raise our hands and ask a simple question to the people who are making this presentation. That was really disheartening. The other thing that has been deeply upsetting to me is the shall we say, the lack of candor on the part of our town fathers. At that very meeting, the Wednesday evening before Christmas, one of the questions that Mr. Levasseur read that came from an audience member was, does the town of Brewster have any additional plans for wind turbines? And he said, no, we don't have any additional plans for wind turbines. And I meant to bring it today because there is a parcel that is on the other side of Route 6 from the Commerce Park site where the proposed turbines would go up, and that parcel is known as the Barrows property. That is 30 acres of land that was set aside specifically for conservation and specifically to protect the sole source aquifer known as the Monomoy lens that is under the ground and supplies water, drinking, and I think 2/3 of Brewster's water supply, and supplies water to also Harwich and I think Chatham and Orleans. And the selectmen went through the state legislature and got approval to convert the Barrows property to industrial land, on which were to be sited 2 1.65 megawatt turbines. And that is in print. Now that has been reversed as a result of this town meeting the other night, but the fact remains, this man, who has a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of Brewster, to be honest, he stood up and with a straight face looked all of us in the eye and said, no, the town of Brewster has no additional plans for wind turbines. I mean, it's that kind of thing that really is infuriating to us. And we have been marginalized in the press by people who write in. You know, we are directly under the gun on Freeman's Way. And it is an incontrovertible fact as well that many, many people in my own family, I have a daughter-in-law, she has a PhD, she's a college professor. You know, her husband, my son, got directly into Tufts for a PhD in math, which he decided not to pursue right from his undergraduate studies. They're both brilliant people, and they don't see any problem with wind turbines. Well, I was so irate, I had to excuse myself from their house and say, look, you know, no hard feelings, but, you know, I need to get some fresh air.
Can I ask you to kind of wrap up?
Sure.
Because we do have someone waiting.
Yeah, I will. I think I've made my point. On that terrible day in January, when that Saturday, I came home and happened to turn on the television, mid-afternoon to get the weather, and because I really watch TV, to tell you the truth. And to my surprise, who popped up on the screen but President Obama. And he was talking about the terrible events in Tucson, Arizona, the day that Representative Giffords was shot. And one of the very last things that he said, President Obama, about her was this. He said, Gabriella Giffords was doing what she always did, listening to her people. We have not been listened to. And one final thing, I'll wrap up in 1 minute, I promise. This is a second quote that I keep on my desk under my piece of rose quartz. And you'll recall the Summer Olympics in Greece some years ago. And I cut this out of, I believe, the New York Times. And it's a quote from Homer in the Odyssey with respect to athletic competition. These towers are going to go up on the other side of the highway from Freeman's Fields in Brewster. This is where the kids in Brewster learn to play soccer, learn to play baseball, all of those things. But it generalizes, however, to a need for fitness in this country. And that's why I keep this quote on my desk, so that if I'm feeling, tired or achy and sore, because I played basketball till I was 55 years old, like a madman, and you wouldn't want to be in my body when you wake up in the morning. But this is what Homer had to say. There is no greater glory in all a man's life than what he wins with his own feet and hands, unquote. We're doing an unbelievable disservice to the kids in Brewster. And in essence, it is a village. I walk out of the Freeman's Fields area like 5 or 6 times a week. People think I'm insane. I walk with walking poles. And I walk 4 or 5 miles and go all the way out into Nickerson State Park and come back. And I went down the other evening, and there were, probably 200 cars there and kids playing in all of the fields, Little League baseball. And I'm no great fan of pro sports or anything like that, but I am a fan of fitness, and I am a fan. I have 3 grandchildren and 1 on the way, and I have 3 sons of my own, and I've always encouraged good nutrition and good fitness. And it's absolutely essential. New York Times story in the health section, I think it was back in January, was an article about the fact that pediatricians are now writing prescriptions for their children in their care to get a personal trainer, to join a health club, or to make sure that you build fitness into your day every single day. So that's what I have to say, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can't, I'm sorry.
1
'cause
minute.
We have
Really quick.
1 minute.
All right, and that has, yes, she is.
1 minute, and that's it. So please,
It's
be
really
very
fast.
brief.
Okay.
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Wendy Judd. I'm a Brewster resident and a member of Brewster Citizens for Responsible Energy. I live 3,000 feet directly west of the CVEC's proposed turbine project. I'm here today to respectfully ask that you not allow CVEC to circumvent your authority by applying to the DPU. To quote Town Planner Sue Levin, after the Planning Board denial, the project is dead. CVEC must begin the process again if they wish to move forward and adhere to the minimum performance standards that the 3 governing boards of the county have adapted. CVEC provided a flicker study to the community. The MPS guidelines state flicker cannot be any more than 10 hours per year. My home, where I live with my children, my husband, is in this flicker zone. It is documented that my home is going to be subjected to a minimum of 20 hours of flicker per year. This is where we had planned to live the rest of our lives. No one has approached us with any plans for mitigation of any sort. CVEC's project would not pass under the MPS, so they seek to avoid it by applying to the DPU. Please, I respectfully ask that you hold CVEC accountable, require that they be held to the same standards as all other projects that come before you. I ask that you continue to protect Brewster, Orleans, and Harwich citizens, maintain the character of Cape Cod, and the quality of life we have enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Very well done.
Thank you all very much. We truly appreciate your comments. You express them very well. They're very studied, and I think it's very helpful to us to hear from you. So
And we
thank
will,
you.
and we will get back to you.
All right, so now we'll move
and that
on
is a
to our
promise.
next.
Thank you for that, by
Yes.
the way.
Okay.
Now we're going to
thank
move
you.
on to our next agenda item, which is Malakoff.
And you're welcome to learn about bicycle weeks.
If you want to stay, if you're going to leave, please leave quietly so we can
Okay.
give Lev the time he needs.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
What would you like me? Just one?
Yeah.
Well, you can come over here and
Okay.
Come over here and Glenn can get over here.
Yeah, Glenn's here too.
Okay with me. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, Glenn's here too. What? No, we haven't.
I just wanted to say, take this opportunity to thank you for another item in January.
She was just asking a question. Right?
I just want to thank you. In January, I was able to attend the Transportation Research Board in Washington conference that covers a wide range of topics, and there's lots of different sessions that I attended, including analyzing roads and intersections for more than just cars. They're now considering bicycles and pedestrians and transit users in the analysis, where before it was just how well does the traffic flow. They're using social networking now to analyze travel demand patterns, so it's a way to really harness the internet to understand what our needs are. And things such as looking at the safety records is interesting. The program I'm about to talk to you about today, if there's more bikers or more pedestrians out there, the safety per biker or per pedestrian improves. So there's strength in numbers. Just thought that was an interesting point. And there's a whole bunch of technical other things that I went through as well that I'd be happy to talk about. But what I'm mainly here for today is to bring before you a proclamation that I would hope you would consider and sign, proclaiming May 14th through the 20th as Cape Cod Bike Week. A lot of you may be aware of the Massachusetts Bike Week, which is also known as Bay State Bike Week this year. There's a major effort from the state and a lot of resources being put forward to coordinate and hold events throughout the Commonwealth. We've had the county commissioners designate the same week to be in concert with the state and also some national efforts in the past. since 1995, I think, or 1996 was the first proclamation that we've had a Cape Cod Bike Week. And so we're coming back again this year to really ramp up the effort. I'm not going to confuse you too much because I'm going to be coming back in the near future for Smart Transportation Week, which looks at everything with bikes and public transit and walking and ride sharing. So I did want to mention for the TV audience out there, go to capecod.org/Bike Week. We've got, here's a printout of all the events that have thus far been scheduled, including several that we're helping coordinate through our office, but also the RTA is going to be holding a real signature event on Wednesday of that week to kick off their transit-oriented bike map. So it's going to be a great resource for people who may not realize you can use the two together. They have the bike racks on the front of the buses, and you can extend your ride or get back if it's raining. Or the other advantage is a lot of the mapping that our office has assisted with is providing information about where the good roads are to get off the busy roads and still get to the destinations that you really want to get to. And so I do have some swag to present to the county commissioners. Mass DOT and Mass Bike are providing ankle bands. So I'm sure when you ride your bicycle,
And they have those jeans on.
I highly recommend this. It keeps your pant leg from getting caught in the chain, and there's a secret little pocket there that you can slide in your bike lock key. And I'm going to present you all with a t-shirt as well, so that you can help promote Bike Week.
It always helps to bear gifts.
And
Under 10 bucks.
I should mention I brought my main prop, Glen Cannon.
Yes, yes.
I guess we're going to be participating in the hardest event of the week.
What is the hardest event?
Sure. We will be bicycling from Middleborough to Barnstable on Monday, May 16th. We will hope to be meeting representatives from the Southeast Regional Massachusetts Planning Organization and the Old Colony Planning Organization in Bourne at the Bill Dalton Bridge, where the three planning agencies come together to show unity for bicycling.
Cohasset Narrows or Bill?
Yeah, Cohasset Narrows. To show unity between the organizations as we reach out to these organizations and try to meet those connections for bike planning, not just on Cape Cod, but to and from Cape Cod.
Right.
So, it's a very important partnership that we have with them.
That's excellent. So I am going to make a motion that we accept this and that we do proclaim the week of the 14th, Cape Cod Bike Week.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstains?
And this is the
That's
proclamation?
yes,
Okay.
if you would be so willing to affix your signatures to the proclamation, it will become official.
How many years have we been doing this?
1996 was the first Cape Cod Bike. We had an effort over at the commission in '95 to just do, in our office, and we said, and we came to the commission and thought it was a great idea to promote the whole week.
And you come
For the whole
back
county.
for Smart Week? Or whatever
The
it's
end
called?
of June.
The end of June.
Which is really a big kickoff for the summer season. The weather is great, and the
I remember
RTA
last summer.
services are all up and running. So a lot of these other, the synergy between all the different options. We're lucky we live on Cape Cod and not out in a snow belt vacation place, because our weather is beautiful when biking and walking are great.
Yes. How are our bike paths stretching out? Are they from stem to stern yet?
Not yet. We are working on a plan to make a connection from Bourne to Provincetown.
Right, I understand that,
There are design plans underway right now in the town of Denison, Yarmouth, to extend the Cape Cod Rail Trail. So that's a connection that'll bring it up to Willow Street in Yarmouth. There are discussions with the town of Barnstable to bring it across Yarmouth, Willow Street, I should say, into Barnstable. And again, the Cape Cod Commission is working to extend that from Bourne to Provincetown. We're also looking at connections down into the town of Falmouth, through Mashpee even, and to create somewhat of a southern leg, if you will, between Falmouth and Chatham. So we're looking at all these options, yeah.
Right.
And we're very excited about it.
And Glenn Cannon is the head of our transportation department as well in the Cape Cod Commission, and he makes sure that we're all safe while we're doing those things this year, as far as
Yes.
wear our helmet and watch out for traffic.
I do also want to state this year that that MassDOT has really stepped up with bike planning throughout the region. I think the leadership that they have at MassDOT, they're trying to come under one umbrella and really embrace the concept of transportation not highway, not transit, but transportation as a whole. And they're really doing a good job, I think, of coordinating the agencies.
How to get people moving around.
Yes.
Now, did you-
Transportation.
Well, Bill, they are trying with public transportation. They are trying their best, and they're trying to bring the agencies together. You know, I think we're lucky here on the Cape because we have Tom Cahere running the Regional Transit Authority, who is a great partner in our relationship. So,
Right.
you know, it works out well on Cape Cod, and they're trying to bring that partnership across Massachusetts.
Great. Now, what's the name of the program? I think it was in the Globe. They did a story on the bike program that's in Washington, D.C.
There's a bike share program.
Right, bike share.
And there's one coming to Boston.
And I thought it was really interesting how it worked, where you just go and with your credit card, you swipe your card and agree, and then pick up a bike and go, and
Right.
you can only have it for so long. And then if you have to either go to another station if you're going further and get another bike or something. But it was amazing how well it went in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I almost feel like we could have a small scale increment where we could start something perhaps in the Hyannis area where you have something at the transit center, something at the beach, and maybe something at the other end of the village that you could have, because you need a place to go to with the bike.
Right, right.
It doesn't replace bike rentals, so if you want to go for a long ride on the rail trail, you would rent a bike, because this is intended for the shorter trips
commute,
where you don't have a bike with you, but you can pick one up, use it for a short trip, and park it back into one of the stations.
The first time I saw that was I had the great opportunity to go to Paris several years ago. And that was the first time I saw that, where they had these stations and you just put in a coin and you could get off to where you wanted to go and park it again, and somebody else would take it. And they were very well maintained, and more people used them than you would think. And they were just really great. So I know that we'll be doing that here soon enough. And maybe not soon enough, but soon.
As soon as we can.
Yeah, as soon as we can. So that's great. All right, well, I'm going to try to bring my bicycle in that week.
Okay,
I'll
thanks.
try to ride my
Thanks
bicycle
very
and
much,
be in shape.
Large, medium, or small?
T-shirts.
Okay, I'll get you.
Medium,
Yeah, medium.
yeah, great.
Sure.
Good.
So hold it up and I can tell you.
Yeah, I know, it depends on whether they're a child.
I like them big.
And we get this for the camera.
Oh, how excellent,
Yes,
yes, we can all hold those up, yes.
Oh, yes.
Bay State bike.
That's
Do that
a
for the
medium.
state.
Yeah, like I said, the state has really stepped
Great.
You can tell me.
We'll give them one.
Okay, so healthy.
At least for the camera.
I like
camera,
these,
right?
thank you.
All right.
Have to wear
There we
these
go.
next week.
BayStateBikeWeek.org.
Very good.
Isn't that great? That's good.
Which is the 2 weeks, right?
Nice t-shirt.
That's what I like about
May
this
14th.
job. You
May
get
14th.
t-shirts.
All right.
We haven't had one with Barnstable County on it yet. Yeah, I know.
The next step.
We
The
keep
next
saying we're going to do that. We're gonna have our uniform shirt.
Okay, thank you.
Anything
Hey,
else?
thank you. Anything else?
That's all for now?
I think
All
that's
right.
all for now.
Well,
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks very much, Glenn. Thank you.
If I may say this, lady
Who is
here
this
came.
lady, right?
She just said that she had something entirely different to speak of, and she just didn't have a chance to bring it up in public comments. So could she just ask a question? And yeah,
Since you're the chair now, this woman here would like to be recognized.
yes,
You what?
no,
Gay Black.
gay black.
I'm
Gay
here
Black, and where do you live?
on a little, I'm sorry, West
What town
Barnstable.
do you live in?
West Barnstable, town of Barnstable, West Barnstable, Mass.
Okay.
I'm here, I think, on a little easier quest than many of the people that have come today. And that is, I have been going back in the history of the roads within the town of Barnstable. What I'm a little confused on as to the county's role in it is whether or not the county helped the towns by laying out the roads, gave money financially but didn't necessarily make it a county road, or how that worked. And I didn't know if you all could give me some direction in that.
If I may, the issue with regard to county roads.
Bill, excuse me, can I move up here so I can
Yes,
hear you?
please.
Sure. Thank you.
Please.
At this time, all of the roads in the town of Barnstable are ones that are laid out. There are some, what might be called residual roads that are part of what used to be county ways. I'm afraid that, I don't think anybody here can really, give you direction, but.
Well, I can in certain respects, because there is a road in the town of Falmouth. It's called Terhune Drive, and it goes up to the hospital. And that is on the books as a county way. And there was a time when people wanted to have that road closed off at one point. It actually is closed off at one end, and there was a time when they wanted to have it extended. And the question was it a county road or was it a town road? And it was laid out by the county. And the question becomes, a town could have been laid out by the county, but later adopted by the town as a town road. So you have to go back to the books, or go back to the towns to see whether or not the towns ever adopted those county ways as town roads. And the town could be the only one who could tell you that.
I have a follow-up question. What are you trying to find out?
Whether or not High Street in West Barnstable is a county road or a town road.
Have you gone to the planning, planning and zoning of the town?
Have I gone to
the planning board?
The planning and zoning.
Planning and zoning board at the town.
Actually, I haven't.
Town
I've been to the
Barnstable.
engineering department.
Oh.
And what did they tell you?
I assume, and I really couldn't get a straight answer, I assume that they think it's a county because they have now put a sign at the bottom of the hill that says county road. But the problem comes in 1685 and 1686, the town of Barnstable voted and laid out what I will call 6A for the moment. And I think it went over High Street down 6A to the Yarmouth Town line, from the Sandwich Town line.
Mm-hmm.
The problem comes at the bottom of this High Street, so-called. They made an extension at one time that went from the bottom of the hill, which would have been West Barnstable, to East Sandwich, and built the bridge. And today it is all known as 6A. So I do not know where it leaves this particular road.
Well, the other thing too is that the town has to adopt it, formally adopt it. So when Barnstable was a town, you might ask the town clerk to search the records of the town meetings and see if they ever adopted it as a town road. Now that it's a council, I don't know what the process is in Barnstable for adopting roads.
They still have a town.
But there is a town clerk, and they have the records of any town roads that have been adopted by a town meeting.
When you say adopted?
Adopted by a vote of town meeting. To
Okay, so that
adopt
means
the
it becomes
layout.
a town road.
The towns have to adopt the layouts. They select.
But you didn't have, well, you did have
But the
town
town
meetings
clerk
in
has.
1685.
Yeah, and the town clerks have all those records, so
And I've
they
got
should.
copies.
That's where I would start, with the town clerk.
And I've got that.
Okay.
Oh, you have that,
I have those, right. So I still don't know
but you still don't know.
if the county enters into it or doesn't enter into it.
But what is, what kind of an outcome are you looking for?
That it be a public road.
Oh, okay.
And
So
I
you,
think it does.
And what is it now?
Well, as I say, the town has now put a sign down below that says county road.
so you live on the street, I take it?
No, I don't. I
Okay.
live on 6A, but
Okay.
it bugs me with history.
Okay. Oh. Then you're a
Sorry.
detective.
So, all right. At different times, we've had to process requests for, say, for allowing rights of way on roads that had originally been county roads but were adopted by the town, but were still there because people wanted to be able to move around different places. We usually, in my experience in doing this, has been we've responded to specific requests and and review. So your question is a new one to me.
I mean, it happens
Yeah.
off and on. So if you've gone to the town clerk and it isn't clear, there's no record that shows that the town ever adopted it as a town road? Pardon?
If it voted it as a layout for a town,
Right.
even though it's way back, is that
It would
adopting?
seem-
Yes, that's adopting it. It could have happened in
It would seem you're on the right track with
1689.
that.
Okay.
And it is still,
So the request, if I were framing the request, if I make a suggestion, would be to say that given what you just said, could the town council, let's see, support your request to do that?
Okay, the way the process works in towns, I can tell you what happens. If you live on a private road and you want your road to become a public road, first of all, it has to be laid out from an engineering point of view. So the town would go out and they would lay out the road. And then the selectmen in the town have the authority to adopt that as a public way. Then it has to go to town meeting, because town meeting has to actually vote that it is now a public road. Then it goes in what they call the manual of streets and roads in the town, and they tell you where they are, their location, and whether or not they are public ways. So that process has to happen. If it didn't happen prior to the town changing its form of government, it would have been adopted by the selectmen in Barnstable. If it happened after that, it would have been adopted by the town council. But I still say the town clerk should have those records. Or the engineering, somebody has to have a book on roads and streets in the town. And it should say whether or not they're private or public ways. And it should also say what year they were adopted as a public way.
Thank you.
You're
like
welcome.
that.
Yes, right, that will help.
Assuming everything went according to protocol.
You're very welcome, thank you.
And thank you for taking me out of it.
Oh, sure.
All right, we've had Bike Week. Is there any other?
Yes, we haven't
We're all
voted
done.
the summary of
That's all we have.
We're finished with the agenda.
Okay.
And I will move to adopt the summary of actions.
Okay, I had one question on the Barnstable County Americans with Disability number 11.
Number 11.
Is that something that that's a requirement that goes out of it? Because ADA accessibility is something that's been a federal law for 10 years.
That's right.
Well,
we're adopting a policy regarding Americans with disabilities. We have to check with Mark. Maybe they've updated the policy. I didn't ask specifically. It was.
You think, is there, I don't know if there's any time pressure to accept it, but although I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, oh no, yeah.
I just would like to, to be clear on it, because I remember when the federal ADA, when I was an advocate for, not only accessibility for public buildings, but also accessibility, for employment. I guess I'd like to be able to review that.
Yeah,
Unless you have something.
well, no, I'm just saying that this is their policy, so I guess
No,
Mark
it
would be
just
the only one that
referring-
could clarify that.
Well, it should be in here.
If you want to do something else.
If
you want to hear reports, I'll look for it while you.
Okay, I see that Mark has given a written report. Would you, let's see, would you care to read that out loud too, for the television? Mark's report. Oh, here it is.
I'll be happy to read these. Do you want?
I don't
Okay,
think
go
we
ahead.
need to read them. I think Mark's report to the commissioners is that the audited financial statements are complete. And I think we would definitely want to have an exit interview with the auditors regarding
Absolutely.
regarding the management letter.
Yes.
Okay, so we will ask Mark to we will let Mark know that we would like to meet with the auditors. And on group insurance, there is a benefit. The benefit fare is right here.
Yep.
Benefits fair for open enrollment for employees is Thursday, May 5th from 10 to 2 at the Superior Courthouse in this room. And there will be representatives here from Blue Cross, Harvard Pilgrim, Delta Dental, and I'm sure all of the providers of health benefits for employees. And also it's an opportunity for open enrollment.
Yes.
If employees want to switch their plans, they can only do it once a year, and this is the time to do it. So anybody enrolled in health insurance. And then on Americorps, we already had the presentation by Rebecca and her Americorps volunteers who are going to be in Orleans on May 9th. And they invited us to the 8:30 a.m. a kind of opening of the Americorps week. which is going to be that morning, because
May
they're going to be
9th, is
doing
that,
May 9th.
That's the week
It's
from
the
today?
morning of our,
A week
of the smart cities, but
Yeah,
it
but that
doesn't
doesn't start till
12.
noon. Yeah.
So it's a week from it's the next Monday,
This coming Monday.
8:30 at Orleans Elementary School.
I've looked at this. This is the standard stuff that we have been before, so I don't have any questions on it.
And I have no
So
problems
we
with
have
any
a
of these
motion in a
actions.
second.
Do you have anything to, well, let's get finished with this. Okay, there's a motion and a second to accept the summary of actions.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? It is a vote. Okay, do you have anything to report?
No.
Do you?
No.
Neither do I.
Okay.
Motion to.
Motion to recess and then reconvene over at the Assembly of Delegates.
I will not be at the Assembly of Delegates.
That's a
4 o'clock.
Here, I looked at their agenda, and I didn't see if they had anything specific on their agenda.
Just in case you change your mind.
Okay.
I would plan.
Well, I'm planning to go. I'm not, it's just that I didn't see anything specific on their agenda.
Mark is supposed to go over there and make a presentation with regard to the budget.
Well, you might know that last week.
Have you voted to recess?
The
Mr.
issue
Chairman?
came up.
Have you voted to recess?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're
we're
going to